Mexico 2, USA 1, a match that was much needed, a back-to-back Gold Cup victory, stamping ourselves as the kings of CONCACAF if that was ever in doubt. I don't know if it was in doubt, but Mexico, I mean, under Vasco Aguirre, they have done a complete 180 that what we saw before under Jaime Lozano, and now I feel hopeful for what's to come. I feel hopeful for the World Cup. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. I don't think we are completely ready, but definitely it looks a lot better than what we saw at least a year ago. But before we get into everything about the USA versus Mexico final, make sure you guys subscribe, like, check out all the platform links down below. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Charla Football. I'm your host as always, Gerardo, with my co-host Tomas. And initial thoughts, reaction to this match was that it was a needed victory. It was a great game from Gilberto Mora. I think he was given the man of the match of this game. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it was just a lot of highlights. Raul Jimenez getting on the score sheet, just 10 goals away from being top goal scorer as well. Like so many highlights to bring up regarding Mexico's case, and then looking forward to the World Cup. But Tomas, what are your initial reactions to the game? So from what we saw,
I mean, it's just initially, I just think this game needed to be won, however it could be.
yeah,
Because although yes, it's a USB team. I mean, the USA team competed in the Nations League, and lost to Panama. They choked against Panama. They didn't even show up for the final.
sorry.
It's just what can we do? And then if you go back to 2021, the US won the Gold Cup versus our A team with their B team.
Yeah,
So it's not a showing of that their A team and B team there's a difference in quality. No, it's just maybe a difference in experience. But even then, it's kind of just like their A team lost to Panama. What are they showing out for? Like,
it's a lot of work.
what are they saving themselves for? They're not going to see another match together, a couple of friendlies into the World Cup, but I don't get why these players didn't come to play the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I don't know why they were scared. Maybe they were scared of facing Mexico because knowing they'll probably get scrutinized if they played against Mexico. And if we played against the A team, if we played against US's A team, I think we probably would have destroyed them as well. Maybe because this was USA's B team, I think they were kind of a little bit more reserved. Like once they got that early goal, like they just defended the whole match pretty much. They were almost like scared to have too much of the ball. Like they were very cautious with the result. But if it was their A team, they like to push forward, they like to control the ball. But I don't think against this Mexico team it would have been easy. And I mean, definitely it would have been a different result, maybe even like a bashing, like a 3-0 if they played against US's A team. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. Regarding Mexico, I thought it was an impeccable performance, to come from behind. I don't think we've gone behind this whole tournament, if I'm not mistaken, because the only match that we were like struggling was the opening match against República Dominicana. But in that whole match, we were pretty much, yeah, we were leading the whole game. So there was really nothing to worry about in the past few matches up until, the first 5 minutes when Chris Richards scores a golazo, and it was an impeccable header, bounces right off the crossbar, campanita. Like it was honestly a beautiful goal. But Mexico never put their heads down. Like they came back up, they continued to fight, they created opportunities, and the fact that the one that was the most dangerous in that first half to be a fucking 16-year-old and Gilberto Mora, he had like 2 shots in the first half, actually testing what's his name, Freeze, the goalkeeper,
Yeah,
which is
Freeze.
huge ass goalkeeper, bro. But he was actually able to put some pressure on the goalkeeper because I mean we don't have any midfielders. That's one of the things that I really don't like about some of our midfielders. That there's have the opportunity to like shoot from outside of the box. They don't do so. They always choose to play to the wings and then maybe see what the wingers can do. But Piojo hasn't been in a good moment. Vega, he looks a lot better. I mean, compared to like the beginning of the tournament, I feel like he's getting a little bit more confidence. So he's looking good on the left side. But the fact that a 16-year-old is over here dominating against guys like Malik Tillman, how we said, Luca de la Torre, Tyler Adams, it's insane, really.
Yeah, and then also, I mean the quarterfinal and semifinals, the starting lineup there was 3 U23 players. So it was Mateo Chavez, Julian Araujo, and Gilberto Mora. And the fact that the youngest one out of the three was the one that started the final is insane.
Yeah. I mean, for him to be the youngest player to lift up an international trophy, surpassing Lamine Yamal and Pelé. What else? He's like the youngest player to win the Man of the Match award, youngest
Yeah.
player to debut with the Mexican national team, youngest player to assist with Mexican national team. It's just history after history after history. in just a few matches. So I'm just really excited to see what the next few games could offer. And then looking at the World Cup when he's going to be only 17 years old, but he will have already a good run of games under his belt when he gets to the World Cup, already playing a quarterfinal, a semifinal, a final against the biggest rivals. I'm sure he's going to be playing in against like the big friendlies that are upcoming. And then, I don't really, unless something tragic happens, like an injury, I really don't see how he's not starting in our midfield in the World Cup next year.
No, I completely agree. He was easily our best offensive midfielder, in pairing with Marcel Ruiz as well.
Yeah, I think them two are almost lockdowns in the midfield, along with Edson Alvarez too. Obviously, our center backs as well, pretty much locked. Our goalkeeper, even though you and I during the match we were kind of iffy every time we saw Malagon come out because we just really don't like the way he comes out. It's just, and that's just something that everybody knows. When he comes out of the box, whether it's a corner kick or when he needs to like play out of his area, he's really not good at that. He's supposed to make his body bigger, but he does the opposite. He kind of like chica and he makes his body a little smaller. And I don't know. He didn't fill me with confidence in the game against the USA. But at least he just got scored on once and didn't get scored on again.
I'm more confident in Malagon stopping a 20-yard shot going upper left than stopping a person dribbling in front of him.
Yeah, like a 1v1.
Even a chipped ball. Like, I think he's terrible. He's terrible at coming out. He puts his hands down rather than up. He makes himself smaller, like you just said.
Yeah.
Bro, you're what, like 5'11", making yourself look 5'8"?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's something definitely Mexico has to look to fix. Definitely recovering Malagon's confidence when he's going out, or just teaching him how to come out with confidence. Or if it's not going to be Malagon, then they got to get like Talar Rangel ready or whoever else is going to come up, because I don't really see Ochoa starting at any of the World Cup matches, especially if they play any Gold Cup matches.
We'll see what Padilla does in Europe, but for right now, he's fighting for the second string spot, second spot. But realistically, he might end up in third just because of his age.
Yeah, we'll see. But what other good things can we highlight from this match against the USA? Vasco, the balls that he has to put in youngsters. I really didn't like that he took out both Julian Araujo and Mateo Chavez who already played both matches prior, and then sending Julian Araujo to, like, he wasn't even on the bench, like he was in the stands. So I don't know what the fuck happened in training. Maybe there was something that he didn't like, or it was just a tactical decision. Maybe he just wanted to go with a little bit more experience on the wings. Even though really I feel like Julian Araujo and Mateo Chavez would have kept up just fine with US's wingers because they didn't really offer anything anyways.
The one that was getting maybe the most looks was Malik Tillman, and he was just getting laid out by Cesar Montes and John Vasquez the whole game.
Yeah, especially when you have those two tanques like in the back, bro. Like, you should. I like give those youngsters a little more of an opportunity, especially if they were already doing things well in the quarterfinals and in the semifinals. Like, I feel like it's kind of a slap in the face, and I know we kind of discussed this. Like, do you, like, if you're like a 21-year-old and you're playing a quarterfinal, you're playing a semifinal, and then just like randomly, obviously we don't know the whole full context, but just like randomly, you feel like you're doing things well from outside perspective. Everyone kind of is seeing that you're doing things well, and then boom, you're just sent to the bench or to the stands. Like, wouldn't you feel like it's a slap in the face?
No, for sure. It's just like there's no reason for it. You showed out in both games. Julian Araujo didn't have any drastic errors. Yeah, they didn't have any drastic errors. Neither did Mateo Chavez. If anything, they were getting praised the whole two games.
Yeah.
For 180 minutes, you do it right in the span of 5 days, and it's just like, what was wrong, or how did we even get to the situation where he thinks that Jorge Sanchez is able to be better than him? Because Jorge Sanchez is not faster than him. Jorge Sanchez is not more technical than him. Jorge Sanchez does not cover the spaces like he does. So it's just, I'm like Gallardo. I can see that Gallardo is better defensively than Mateo Chavez because Mateo Chavez is more of an offensive-minded player. Mm-hmm. But in the sense of Julian Araujo, I don't see it.
Yeah, I feel like comparing both of them, Mateo he did have a difficult game in the last match against Honduras. Maybe that's why he decided like, oh, it's gonna be an even more difficult game against the US. So he gave a little bit of that experience went to Gallardo in that sense. But Jorge Sanchez, we've seen him in the tournament so many times, and in all these times in the tournament, he did not look great. And then once again, against the USA, he wasn't horrible, but only because they didn't call a penalty against him because he fucking put his hand on the ball inside of the box. Like, yes. I know it was an accident, but it's like, it's such a blatant, obvious accident, and we are lucky. And Pochettino even said, like, oh, if it was the other way around, they would have called it a penalty. Like, we're lucky that it's not as controversial as people have, maybe as we thought, watching the game it was going to be.
We are lucky that FIFA came out with a statement 2 years ago clarifying that if you're in a falling motion, obviously you're not going to naturally fall on your face. No, you're going to stick a hand out. And we're lucky FIFA clarified that, because I mean, 2 years prior to that, any ball that touched your hand inside of the box was almost always called a handball.
Yeah, and that's one play that we almost literally shit ourselves, because we're like, bro, how can you be so stupid? How can you put your hand on top of the ball inside of the box? Luckily, it wasn't called. I think rightfully so, but oh my gosh, like, there's just those little moments that I feel like Jorge Sanchez specifically always has. It's just like that one goofball moment, and that's just what you have with a guy like Jorge Sanchez. He doesn't offer you anything going forward, doesn't offer anything really defensively. He always needs someone to team up with him to create that 2v1, because there's no confidence that he can really defensively cover somebody. Unlike Julian Araujo, yeah, he'll make a mistake, but he is faster than Jorge Sanchez. He can recover. He will recover if there's a mistake. And then going forward, we saw in the last match, he put in a good cross to Raul Jimenez. He would have had an assist if Raul Jimenez actually put him in the back of the net against Honduras. But anyways, those are just like some of the smaller details that definitely need fixing. Obviously, I think when Rodrigo Huescas comes back, I think we're going to see Huescas starting at right back, because I think he has the largest projection out of those three right backs, in my opinion. I mean, he has guys from like the Premier League, Borussia Dortmund scouting him. So, and he's playing at a Champions League level team as well. So,
yeah, but I definitely feel like Julian Araujo, out of the two players, Jorge Sanchez and Julian, is probably the only one that could give, Rodrigo Huescas maybe, or Vasco the thought in the back of his head, he plays in the Prem as well. And I mean, Julian Araujo, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, he came back from an injury. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're barely seeing him reach into that moment of confidence. So we'll see how the season in the Prem, and we'll see how it lays out for the World Cup.
Now, let's look at the 2 goals that Mexico scored. And we already knew one of them was going to come from a set piece. We just didn't know who was going to score. One of the things that we've been highlighting throughout the tournament is that defensively, we're not a liability when it comes to set pieces. Even though we did receive a goal from a set piece, it must be said it was more of a lack of concentration and a spectacular goal than really it was a clear and obvious error from one of our defenders or players. But then also going forward, we are a threat, like when we are on the set piece, and we saw that in the second goal with Edson Alvarez goal. I thought it was Cesar Montes que lo peinó, but it was actually Johan Vazquez that got the assist. So we have those 3 guys. We have Edson, Cesar, and Johan. There are 3 threats that people really need to look out for, especially at the World Cup. Like, that could be a good resource, the set piece, especially when you're playing like the likes of, I don't know, teams that either defend very well or that you're going to be defending hardcore against, like a Spain or France, and you're going to try to keep it 0 at the back, and you need that set piece to get you into the next round. Definitely a good resource to have. And then let's talk about Raul Jimenez's goal, bro. I mean, that was a class goal. Great. He's one of the best 9s in all of CONCACAF. We already know that. Dare I say, maybe the best 9 in CONCACAF right now. And the finish was just spectacular. Off the first touch, the pass from Marcel Ruiz was a great pass. And I love his offensive duties as well as defensive duties from Marcel, able to go box to box without a problem. And then, just the finish was just one of my favorite parts. Putting it top left, the goalkeeper just completely frozen. I mean, what else can you say about a finish like that?
I mean, the goalkeeper had a chance. If anything, the one that had a chance was the center back. I think it was Reem.
Reem, yeah.
He kind of defends the ball with his left foot rather than trying to block it with his right. It's the type of defending that you learn since you're a kid. You defend with your plant foot. Mm-hmm. You block a shot with your plant foot. You don't reach for the block. Your plant foot, because if you reach for a block, it's gonna happen like how it happened yesterday to him, where the ball keeps going. The ball doesn't stop for you. Yeah. Unless your foot is planted, it'll rebota. It'll rebound off of you. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, Raul Jimenez, we knew he was gonna score. We just didn't know when.
Yeah.
And obviously, his celebration for Diego Jota, I mean, it was,
good to see. They had those 2 seasons together at Wolves, and definitely an underrated duo. I would say also a trio along with Adama Traore. Definitely a underrated front three when it came to that Wolves those 2 seasons. Obviously, rest in peace to the late Diego Jota. We don't really have to go too deep into it, but definitely thoughts and prayers with his family, with him, and all his friends and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a really nice celebration. The PlayStation celebration with his jersey and everything. He even walked out with the Diogo jersey. Yeah, it was nice to see. But yeah, going back to the finish, I think the reason Reem maybe didn't even stick his leg out, or at least on time, was mainly because he probably didn't even expect that shot. I mean, I don't think we really did. I mean, in a situation like that, maybe like a typical striker would hold the
Cut.
ball, maybe cut, or put the back to goal. But he just runs straight into it, and he puts his foot straight through it. That's why it goes straight into the back of the net, straight to the top corner. So definitely, I think it was less on Reem. It was more of like the brilliance of Raul Jimenez.
And if you compare both of the goals, the sound in the stadium when USA scores, it seems like the away team scored. And then when Mexico scores, I mean, it's like they're not even playing in Texas anymore. It's like it's Texas. Like
It is, bro.
you could tell like it was at least 70% Mexican fans,
Definitely. Maybe more, bro. Probably like 90%.
maybe more. I mean, the stadium sold out, and the real US fans. I mean, bro, the how would I say, like, the broadcasting company would have to look for the US fans to find them because there wasn't a big group of them. They were sparse around the stadium, and it was incredible to see for that show out in a state so proud to be American like Texas, being majority Mexican inside the stadium. It's insane.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it makes me definitely excited for the World Cup. Having 3 games at home at least, and then the possibility of going more games at home. Obviously, the Mexico fans are going to show. I really hope they do, and um, this is the kind of performances, the kind of wins that are definitely needed to give Mexico fans hope. Going back to back in the Gold Cup, winning the Nations League, really cementing themselves as the kings of CONCACAF. Putting the throne over their head and like reclaiming that title. That if it ever was in doubt, because yes, we did have a period where times did look a little dark. Getting eliminated from the World Cup, getting eliminated from the Copa America in humiliating fashion from the group stage. So now it's like, okay, maybe a complete 180 from what we've seen before, and it makes you actually excited and looking forward to the World Cup. Because I bet if we had this conversation 2 years ago, and if I were to ask you, like, are you excited for the World Cup? You'd be like, fuck no, bro, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
And right now it's like, definitely you're still a little worried. Obviously, the anxiety is never gone as a Mexico fan, but you feel a little hopeful at least.
Yeah, but it's back to that worry where you had in like 2014, 2010, 2006, where you're playing teams like Argentina and the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of just like, oh, well, we'll see what they can do. We don't know if they'll beat them, but we know they can give them a game.
Yeah.
At least it's back to that point.
And that's all we want. That's all we want. We just want to be able to compete with the best because we know we can, as we always have. History always tends to repeat itself. There's never a no drama era in Mexican football. Before 2014, where we had arguably one of the best performances in Mexico's history. We had 2013 when we were struggling to get into the hexagonal. We had to go to repechaje to play against Nueva Zelanda, and then it was just very last minute reactions from all of Mexico. And it's kind of like the same thing, even though there's a little bit more time on our hands because we don't have to play at hexagonal or any sort of qualification. We're already qualified. We have a little bit more time on our hands for sure, but it's always just last minute planning, just kind of scrambling for answers. We found that with Vasco. And hopefully now they can just continue this project with Rafa looking after the World Cup. But first, let's see what happens in this World Cup. But thank you, Tomas, for hopping on. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, check out all the platform links down below. If you guys want to see more Selección Mexicana content, make sure you guys subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.